The world needs your honest expression. Like, it really needs it. This is something I've been thinking about so much recently, just about the impact that certain people have had on me through their honesty and their expression. Like, just by sharing a piece of themselves and saying whatever's on their mind, they have changed my life for the better. If they had chosen to withhold or repress a part of themselves, it's like the world would not be spinning the way that it is right now. There are so many people, me included, who feel scared or uncertain to share things sometimes because you think it's not going to be received the way that you want it to be. Like, if I share my art or speak my mind, people aren't going to like it, or nobody's even really going to see it, so why should I even bother sharing it? But what we all constantly forget is that just the act of expressing ourselves authentically, it's inevitable that we are brought closer to our true selves and to our true community and our audience. If you express yourself and someone doesn't like that, all it does is make space for the people that it's truly meant for. Even if it feels like sometimes you're expressing into a void, it's so necessary. You have no idea what your expression can mean to other people, how it can inspire them or impact them positively. Like, you can't imagine that because you will never fully be in everyone else's shoes or be able to feel how your expression is being received. You also have no idea when your impact might actually be made. Like, there are so many people throughout history who have not been recognized for their work until after they've died. Like, that actually happens all the time. So you just can't be thinking so obsessively about how you're going to be received by other people. You have to express yourself because you have no other choice than to be yourself. There is no other way. I can't even count how many times I've come across some random girl's TikTok that has 10 likes and 20 views, or some really obscure, really niche Reddit post that has honestly saved my life. Like, I wish that was an exaggeration, and it's not. Those people will never understand the ways that they've helped me or inspired me without even knowing. Music is such a big part of my life. Like, I cannot imagine anything without music. I actually think we would be a sad shell of a human society without music, and I would personally combust, like cease to exist. And one of the thoughts that I had this week that really caused this whole spiral for me is the fact that a lot of the music artists that have deeply impacted me and changed my life, especially in the past year, whether that's because their music helped me through some tough times, or I related really hard to their lyrics, or their sounds just made me feel a powerful emotion. A lot of these artists are not actually that famous or that big. Like, a lot of them are relatively unknown in the grand scheme of things. And I actually thank the universe every single day that these specific artists have never let the numbers or the success or the virality ever stop them from doing what they do. I feel that way about Raven Lenae. I feel that way about Orion Sun. I feel that way about Mavi. And even they are pretty big now. Like, they're growing for sure, but they still exist in pretty specific niches, I would say. And by sharing their art and expressing themselves authentically, their music has found me at the time that it did, and their expression has found a new life of its own in me. Doechii recently won a Grammy for Best Rap Album. I remember the night that she won. I was so unbelievably proud of her. I thought back to when I first discovered her music and how since then I've seen her grind and grow and continue to reach new people and find her voice to now being recognized on such a massive scale. 2025 is her year, and she is really that girl. And her old YouTube videos have resurfaced recently of her documenting her whole journey, like just speaking her mind to the camera in her room and sharing her thoughts and vlogging her day-to-day of her life pursuing a career as an artist. And that honesty, that authenticity is unmatched. Like, you don't really get to see or witness that come up for people gaining fame that often. She was at it since the beginning, just raw and unafraid to be herself to the world. And that's so inspiring to me. Like, all of her work up until this point is just now starting to really shine and take off. And if she hadn't stayed consistent all those years, despite her obstacles, despite not actually knowing if she was ever really gonna make it, it's like she would not be where she is today. In my personal life, there are hot takes and opinions that my friends have stated that I'll remember forever because they're just real as fuck. Also, recently, one of my coworkers had a situation where she was really frustrated and upset with upper management, to the point where she fully started crying on the clock and having a meltdown in front of all of us. I feel like most people would never let themselves get to that point. Like, they would go to the bathroom and cry it out, or they would just keep it to themselves because of not wanting to seem too emotional or immature. But my coworker's frustration and emotional reaction in that moment was so human and just honest. Like, she couldn't contain it. That's just her personality. She can't hide how she feels. And I really respect that. And actually, because she was so visibly upset, she ended up getting called in by our boss to have a conversation, and she ended up getting answers to questions that she had and being brought closer to what she was actually looking for, all because of her honest expression. And thinking about that afterwards, I really admired her for that, for just not hiding how she feels at any point. Yeah, I have found some of my best friends through honest expression, and romantically too. Like, for so much of my life, I would sit around and complain that I was being approached by men that I have zero interest in. And the second that I started approaching them first and just not caring about all that dumb, made up stuff like asking them out first or double texting, the second that I just started expressing my interest out loud, I started having experiences I was genuinely into that were really meaningful. Even when it feels like you're hurting someone by being honest, why prolong and worsen the damage for both sides by keeping something hidden? That's just not something that I can really live by anymore. Honesty is literally always the answer, and it gets easier the more you do it, and it brings you closer to your truth no matter what. You are not for everyone, but you are for someone. Your impact will be had on someone, and your impact will be had in due time. And you will never fully understand the impact that you have on the world and what your expression means to other people. But what is a fact is that you are doing a disservice to the world and to your community by not expressing yourself authentically. You are doing a disservice to yourself by not being honest. Tomorrow is not promised, and life is way too short to keep your art or your words or your emotions bottled up inside of you. Remember that. Good night.